So you can go on. We are live now.
Hi, good morning, good evening. Name is Ayo. I'm a filmmaker. I can't hear you by the way.
Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Ayo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can every other person hear me in the comments? Those of us watching from, if you can hear me, please confirm you can hear me. Okay. Uh, our house is currently having a network issue. We're in Nigeria. These are some of the things that happens to creatives. We don't have control over it. Just that sometimes we find a way to overcome these challenges. Well, anyways, we pray she's back. Whatever might be the issue, she'll fix it up. So before she comes back, if you're excited, let me see you throwing fire emojis around. So we have our guest.
From you can hear. Hi, hear me.
We have our guest already.
From you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I think your network,
Please.
the witchcraft of Nigeria is acting strong on your network.
Oh God. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better to an extent.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, man. Good
Good
evening, ma'am.
evening.
Sylvia.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay, in events, if your network is good now, you can just go on. We are already behind schedule.
All right. Please, one more time. Just confirm you can hear me, Admin.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, if you lose me, let me know. Okay, once again, we apologize for this network errors they control about. I'll try my best to start and follow up. So, justice event tag virtual events brought by his hub and the Young Filmmakers Hub. It's community of filmmakers, cinematographers, as generals and actors as well. The theme of tonight's event is for positive narrative construct, social impact. We already have two of our guests here with us, and we are going to move right into it because we've burned a lot of time trying to adjust the network. And so here we have us rather, Berry, and we also have Sylvia Iberi. And so is the first session. We have two panel sessions. After this, first we are going to talk about okay. So for the session is filmmaking as a social impact and values preservation. We are going to take questions regarding events. It's not just for documentary or narrative film alone. It's for filmmaking in general. I would like to begin with our very panelist. Yeah, hello.
Hello. Good evening. If you can hear me, I cannot hear you. If you can hear me, I can't hear you.
Yes.
Hello.
I think it's our network.
Well, can you hear me, Ayo? Hi, Ayo.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we can't hear the host. Okay.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So I think I'll just pick it up for our guest, for our host, since she's having network issues. I pray the Lord will come through for her. Amen. So we have Miss Siva Ibere and we have your daily camera. You can't see me. I'm having issues with it too. So Mr. Corey is supposed to join us, but maybe he's busy and on the line. So Siva Ibere is a filmmaker. She is an actor and she has featured in so many films that you know, popular ones. Some of them are Baby Farm, The Peanuts, and We Are Happy People. She's a great person. During her last film festival, we saw one of her works, and that prompted us to reach out to her again and say, let's hear this great person speak to us about this certain topic. And we are really excited to have you join us, Miss Siva Iberi.
Thank you
Then
very much for having me.
Ayodele Abraham is a great documentary filmmaker. He's a filmmaker, but I know him majorly into the he's majorly into the documentary space. He has amazing work. His recent work and most amazing work is Okrika, which talked about how Nigerians and some part of Africa have made used clothes from the European worlds, from the Western countries, how we make these clothes tend to live again. So we tend to give it a second life. So the title of his work is Okrika Second Life. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us. If you can hear me and you're excited to be here, let me see you throwing fire, stickers, and any of your favorite stickers around. So we're going straight to our first question. Siva Ibure.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, just give me a few seconds. Let me. So our first question says, when filmmakers set out to create social impact works through their film, there are usually tensions between making a great piece of art and delivering a clear message. How have you been able to ensure that your social message do not swallow your cinematic experience, turning the film into a lecture than a story? So as an actor, you must have been on set, or you've maybe produced some work and you'll be part of some story development. How have you been able to manage, or how have you been able to manage between making this story both a cinematic experience and also dishing out the value and the lessons this film?
All right, thank you very much for that question. First of all, I don't think that upholding the values or upholding the message in a film or a story would ever affect its cinematic experience. First of all, I just wanted to put that out there. Yes, if your message is for example, anti-drug abuse, yeah, I don't think your message will affect the way you shoot your film to be pleasant to the eyes. Yes, I think in this day and time, cinematic nudeness per se is something that we use to cover our lack of vision for creative storytelling. As a creative person, you can always find a way to pass your message across and still have your picture right. I mean, your values have nothing to do with your picture, right? Your values are the core of your story. What do you want people to see, to feel, to hear as they watch this piece of work? Yeah, it has nothing to do with your shots and your art direction or whatever you want to do. And this is my opinion, really. Yes, so for me, how I marry it is I prioritize the story. Yeah, in film school, we always they always tell us your story is king. I prioritize the story. If I cannot see, if I cannot envision the story and then it cannot probably bless me, let me use that term, or speak to me, or the message is not clear to me at the story phase, there's nothing I want to do with my picture, really. And then again, like I said, this is like my opinion. Yeah, the story has to be right. It has to speak to you, or it has to speak to the audience that you intend it for. Someone needs to read and see the clear message first before you go into production, really. So for me, I prioritize my story. My story is king. Basically, that's yeah, that's the direction I would go.
Okay, thank you very much. I get your point. You prioritize your story, even if the cinematic shots are not laying so much emphasis on what you want them to do, but provided the audience gets what you are trying to say through the characters and the story overall, right?
Yes, so something around that. Like I said earlier, the first thing I said was, I do not think that your values are lost because of, sorry, your shots are lost because of your values or your message in the story. In fact, it is because you have some sort of message or a clear message in for the story that should inform your shots. If if I'm trying to portray a sad person, I mean, my director will not be giving me white shots, right? My director will not be giving me wide shots. I will go for extreme close up and close ups, really. And then this is just me putting it out there. I don't think that your message can affect your cinematic picture, really. If you get your message right, the clarity of your message when it comes to your research, your pre production stage has to be right to inform your shot. I don't think one contradicts the other. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I think I get you now. So there's always a balance for the both. So the cinematic experience or the shots can be used to even enhance the story and make the audience connect more. Okay, thank you very much. So Ayo, we want to ask you the same question. Maybe you will try just summarize your answer. So I don't know if you're maybe you have a lengthy answer words to this very question. So I know you made Okrika, and in making Okrika, you were trying to tell an actual story of um, how close from the European world, from the Western countries, are also used here in Africa. So, in making this particular documentary, did you in any way maybe feel like your shots will will not make the audience connect with the story? Did they in any way think like that? How were you able to manage such situation, or how were you able to say, okay, this shot, this cinematic shot that I have in mind, will be able to like match with the story I'm trying to tell?
Okay, thank you for that. When making Okrika, I didn't really think about like shots first. What came to my mind first was like how to make people relate with it because Okrika is something that everybody is used to. So that was my first point. So like, how would these people relate to this story I'm trying to tell? Um, I looked at like if Okrika, what's the goal of Okrika? It's to help reduce like our spending to in getting clothes. It helps a lot of people in middle class. So that was like the essential point for me. So once I had my angle of coming, so the short snaps and then came. So the type of people I interviewed finally started to arrive because I wanted to people that the audience will relate to, the market sellers, the everyday people that wear Africa. So then the shots now started falling in. Okay, how do I portray these people in these clothes that will make them relatable? If you've seen the film, you know that most of the film was just everyday things that people normally do, going to the market, dressing up in the morning. So in that area, so everybody does these things. So just picturing that already, I've really figured a way to how to connect to my audience. So I feel like when you've had a point of how to connect with your audience, any message you are trying to pass, if being a social impact or it will just follow as long as you have that emotional hook with your audience.
Sorry, I was muted before. So I think from what the both of you have said, thank you very much, Ayo. From what the both of you have said, you've made it clear that there's a balance for both the story and the cinematic shots, and both of them complement each other. So there is no way your cinematic shot will overshadow your story or the lessons you're trying to pass. And one way or the other, these cinematic shots are even supposed to make the audience feel the story. I believe that's what we are saying. Um, I believe that is what we are saying, Miss Zero.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So I think we have about two other or three or four other questions. So I'll say filmmaker. Ayo, you're a documentary filmmaker. Mesiva, you're a fictional filmmaker. You're also into the documentary space. So, how can local filmmakers, I wouldn't want to say local filmmakers, but then local filmmakers preserve specific cultural values without diluting them to make them more digestible for an international audience? Let's say, for example, you want to make a film about a particular cultural heritage and you don't want to make it look so scary for the international audience. But then you really want to be authentic in the story. You really want to like tell the story as it is. So how do you like navigate that challenge? So we want Miss Siva to answer us first. Ladies first as always.
Thank you. I would have actually loved to hear Mr. Ayo first, but then it's fine. Okay. Maintaining authenticity in storytelling. So when you said maintaining authenticity in storytelling, and you now said let's not make it scary for the external audience. I mean, it's a contradicting statement, but I will try. Let me use one of my favorite studios in the West. For example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes. Do they make films? Do they tweak it for us to like? Do they tweak it for it to be less scary for us? Because I mean, apart from the Western world, we consume it. I remember when what they call this, what's the name of this one, Avengers, the last fight that happened, I think sometime into, I can't remember the last one, but I went to the cinema, I queued up and I watched it. Yeah. Do they care about how that film was going to make me feel? Yeah, they were let me say they were selling their truth. Let me use that word. So why is it that as Africans, when we want to make films, we begin to think of how to factor the Western world into our filmmaking? Where is the authenticity in that though? Where is the authenticity in that? If you want to tell authentic stories, tell authentic stories. Yes. and the consumers will consume it. See, you cannot make a film for everybody, and that's one thing I've learned that's one thing I've learned in this business. You cannot make a film for everybody. Yeah. So if you want to make an authentic film, make an authentic film. Use authentic actors, actors who are willing to do the work, the research, producers, directors who are willing to do the research, and who are able to, at the end of the day, bring out a body of work that you can call authentic. Yeah, in our country here, when we make authentic films per se, we miss it. I want to use Neka the Pretty Serpent as an example. A beautiful film, the remake, not the original film. Beautiful film, the remake. Yeah, tell me why we're using a non-Igbo speaking actor as a lead. You want to tell an authentic story, right? Why are we using a non-Igbo speaking actor as the lead? And then the actor in question is not now, or it did not now put enough time and effort to learn the language, or even a few convincible Igbo terms for the character, and you say you made an authentic film. You say you made an authentic film. Yeah. So for we, as long as we try to factor or censor the Western world into our story or our filmmaking, it's not authentic, really. It's not authentic. You want to tell authentic stories, tell authentic stories. Like Osamede, I don't know how to really pronounce that. I know people have
Yeah, it's correct.
corrected Osamede, yeah. Oh, thank you. I got it. Yeah. So I mean the language choice, the actors that they used could speak the language, and then the ones that could not speak the language, because it was an English, it was a mixed film. It was English and then it was language. But then, do you see that whoever spoke that language in that film, I could almost believe that they were from Benin, right? I
Yeah,
don't know if all of them are from, but I know the lead character and TVA, she's from Benin, and all of
yeah.
that. But where is the authenticity if you keep trying to factor the Western world into that? I can give you a lot of examples of films that are supposed to be authentic, but they flaw in either maybe the history, the timing, yeah, the timing of something happened. So if you're talking about a story that happened in the 1970s, there are other factors, other things that happened in the 1970s that are your story fillers, right? What happened in 1970s? Who was the governor general there? Was there a governor general? Was Nigeria under democracy? These are the things you factor into. I cannot be talking about 1970s and I'm talking about ATM machine or ATM card. I'm not a very stupid person now. So if we want to talk about authentic filmmaking, let's cut away what the Western world will think about our film. Because right now, the Western world are the biggest financiers of our films. That's the issue. If we get funding from within our space, within people who understand our story, then probably we will not be scared to tell our story as authentic as it can be, without factoring the Western world. I mean, this Black Panther film that we celebrate today, it's a beautiful film. It's pleasant to watch. How many cultures did they flop? How many Nigerians sound like that? How many South Africans sound like that? That's where we should actually sit up and be like, as a Nigerian, as I'm talking like this, I'm talking to you like this. Ayo is speaking to me like this. I know how we sound. Why do I see Nigerian inclusions in films and they are saying, "Hey, that's not equal abi"? Do we sound like that? No, we don't. So if we're talking about authenticity, please leave the Western world and get taste out of it, because they have a picture of Africa that is clearly not correct.
This is absolutely
I hope,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you did an amazing job to the topic the question asked. This is one of the things I think we tackled in our community, whereby we were all talking about how some of our films are not authentic enough. Like we are trying to make film that appeal to the international audience. We are chasing. I don't want to say we are chasing clouds. We glorify those guys. We glorify those guys.
Maybe
Obviously,
because they are the ones funding us.
exactly.
Really, they are the biggest funders.
Because they're the one funding us, and we tend to see them as we still tend to see them as superior to us because If we do not see them as superior to us, we obviously and just start making structure on how to fund our films by ourselves, how to really praise our films and make our films sell within the continent. So Harry, I don't know if you still remember the question. So just like to hear from you.
Yeah, I still remember the question. I'll just add a bit to what Sylvia said. Um, I just want to say this, that we should not dilute our stories for international audiences, and we will not, because I feel like audiences around the world do not need explanations on why we are doing certain things. They need authenticity. Um, Take for example, I saw a documentary film last month, and there was this very gory scene where they were removing the guy's teeth, and everybody was in the that was watching with me was like, why did they include that part? And I'm like, that is part of the ritual in that community. They are just telling it the way it's supposed to be told. If they were to remove that part, that would be like a lie or trying to say paint a pretty picture just for other people to see.
Censorship.
Yeah. So we should we're not in the business of telling pretty pictures. We're here for authenticity.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I think if we should examine some other culture from I think like the Chinese guys, the Indian guys, when we watch their film, we see how they live, we see how they interact with other people, we see the authenticity in their film. Even when we watch some of these Western culture, like some of their films that are dating back into the 90s and the 80s, these guys are like they make everything real. They make you feel like you are still in those, like you are, they make you feel like you are in that time. But then when it boils down to us, when it comes to us, when we want to make our film, we are just trying to like maybe subtract some things, add some things to appeal to this international audience. God will save us. Uh, Thank you very much. So I think we have few other questions. I don't know if any of us have question in the comment section. If you have question and you really want to ask, please type your question so that we can address it at the end of this session. So Ayo, I have a question for you. Documentary have historically been used by outsiders to explain African cultures to the world. And as an indigenous documentary filmmaker, how are you using this medium to dismantle stereotypes and provide a more nuanced insider perspective on our values and social issues? That is, how are you using your documentary films to dismantle these stereotypes and make them feel, tell the story like, oh, I'm in Nigeria, I live in Nigeria. This is how Nigeria is. This what you think Nigeria is no longer what Nigeria is. What you're seeing on the media is no longer what Nigeria is. This is how Nigeria truly is. So how are you doing that? How do you plan on doing that? I think you if trying to wrap my brain around if you did it in Okrika or so just tell us. You are mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, all right. I feel like I have like a bias to this question, Sha. So one of my points is that we tend to uh, make our suffering aesthetic. So if you look at documentaries that are like trending, they are just trying to paint this um, one-sided story. Uh, Nigeria is a gloom and they were suffering. Like I saw a meme the other day, and it showed CNN documentaries, and they'll just take one person to the gutters, and this is how Nigeria, Africa is. This man has not eaten all day. And yes, not to say that we don't have people like that, but that is not the full story. So that point just reminds me of this woman's video, Dangers of a Single Story, on how one-sided narratives can affect the way everybody else sees. So I think a way to battle that is telling it authentically, like we've said, not painting a beautiful picture or trying to make the suffering look glamorous. So painting it as it is. Another point I would trying to make is, we remember when I Should Speed came to Nigeria, and everybody was like, why did we not take him to somewhere that is fine and stuff like that? And I told my friend that on a normal day, that is how Lagos is. That he saw the real Lagos, and we were exposed. So another point is to take note that who benefits from all these, who are the ones that will benefit. If we tell our stories negatively and point out only the negative part, this the suffering, the hardship, who are the ones that will be looked down on. But if we also try to paint that the beautiful side, the beautiful side of our people, our culture, our food, the stereotypes will be shifted. So there's always that's just put that there's always two sides to a story. It's never just the way it is. There's always a backhand that we are not always seeing. So trying to show the balance, the truth to say is the way to go to stop all these stereotypes.
Thank you very much. Try to show the balance between both. We always say, I like the philosophy of when you're seeing one side of the coin, try to look at the other side of the coin. That's flipping a coin always. So thank you very much. I think I have just one more question for Monsiva and maybe one more for Ayo. Um, if you know you have a question, please ask your question now before they go, because after now you might likely not see them again. I know many of us here are Ayo fans, many of us here are Silver fans, but yes, here's a collective effort. So ask your question. Let the fan of this person ask the question that this other person's fan will learn from. So please, like I always say, let's learn together, collaborative effort. So, Siva, one more question for you. Have you ever felt that Nollywood is doing enough to preserve Nigeria culture, or is it slow losing its way? Like, do you ever feel like, do you get the question?
No, so I think you were breaking in between.
Okay, let me correct. So, have you ever felt that Nollywood is doing enough to preserve Nigerian culture, or they are slowly degrading it?
Okay, so I will adopt Ayo's style. When you show the good side, you show the bad side. So in film school, all is not it's not all good, it's not all bad. There is something that works for you, something that doesn't work for you. So that's the approach I'm going to use to answer this question. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that for certain stories, for certain faction of Nollywood, and then it's actually sad. Nollywood is very divided, very very divided. The Yoruba industry is doing amazing. Oh, the Yoruba industry is doing amazing. The 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 historical stories that we now have on video on demand apps like Netflix and even Prime Video, like Ageshikole, what's the name of this one? Ishabi and the rest, they are doing a good job. It's a start of something beautiful. And then there's the Nwa Boy story. by Kayode Carson. What's the name of that story? The one where the boy was doing boy boy. Ah, why am I not
What?
good with names of films? Yeah, so there's a yes and there's a no. The yes is certain producers are doing it, certain producers are not they are telling authentic Nigerian stories. They are preserving our cultures. They are, when we're growing up, it's mommy and daddy that used to pass down the culture to us. They are doing that. They are passing down. They are shining lights to certain areas, and then as much as they can do, right? And then no, because of box office numbers, people are now tilting towards feel good films. Thank you. Feel good films. A film that when you watch, you laugh and laugh and laugh, and you come out with nothing, and you spend 7,000 naira. I mean, both of them works, yes. However, when it comes to preserving our culture, we are feeling good. We are feeling good. As we are feeling good, we are celebrating how many years birthday. We don't know anything about our culture. So Ayo said there should be balance. I will take that answer. There should be balance. There should be balance. As much as we want to feel good, watch nice films, and have a good laugh and all of that, we should know why. I'm from Imo State. There's a town called Olu, and there's a town called Osu, and in between us there's a water that connects us to Anambra. I'd like to know why that water runs through my village. I'd like to know certain. I don't know. I'd like to know. I'm approaching my late 20s now. I don't know jack about a lot of things. Yes, but I've seen Lishabi. Now, Lishabi is a story from different sources that they've come together to put. At least, if they ask me who is Lishabi, I say, I watched a film. It's like this, it's like that. I can say some kind small small things now. Then there's the Ageshikole. God help me with my pronunciations again. I'm not. I apologize, guys. Okay, so that's there's the justice, and there's the justice over the ones that cannot afford this kind of lifestyle. There was this vigilante, spiritual vigilante back end story. And then, so whether or not it happened, there's a folklore, there's a myth. These are part of our cultures now. When we were younger, then they used to tell us stories. Sometimes they'll tell us stories that will scare us. Sometimes they'll tell us stories that will to rise up something is in us, to tell you why your name is like that. My name is Sylvia Ebere. I'm an Igbo girl. Why is my own Ebere with an R, not an L like the Anambras? My Anambra sister will tell you her name is Ebele. Why is my name different from hers, but it means the same thing? I'd like to know really. So yes, a lot of producers are doing it now. They're trying. It's amazing. I mean, God bless them, and then I pray that the funding keeps coming, because funding is very important. No, because of box office, we want to hit billions. So what the Lishabi will not really give us that billions that we're looking for. It's too serious. Let's just go and laugh and have fun.
Thank you very much. Achievement to your prayer. So I think I have an idea concerning what you just said. How about if those guys who are chasing the boss office, or let's say, for example, I chase the boss office and eventually use that money to make historical film? Won't it make sense?
Are you asking me? Okay, it will make sense. I will come and watch. But
Yeah,
how
so
many people? How many people have hit the box office? How many of them has come out to tell historical stories?
that is, I think that is one of the things we really need to talk about, because of the truth, I have sat down several times and I will ask myself, because I'm from the eastern part of the country, and also then but I based in Benin. So like interstate child. So from both culture, trying to know these different culture. Most times I try as much as I can to explore. And I'm always amazed, why are these not in our films? Like, why are these not being told? Like you said, the Yoruba guys, they are doing an amazing job. Kudos to Ni, kudos to Efolonya. I don't know if I got the name right. Then kudos
Ayo,
to
help
Funke.
us so. Ayo, help us to pronounce names. I think it's a Kula
Kudos
Lion, and then
to
there's a Uncle Femi Adebayo.
Adebayo. Yes, Femi Adebayo. Then this other guy that produced Lisa B2. That guy too.
What's
All
his
of them.
name? Yeah, put his face
Um,
up.
forgotten his name. I'm one of his big fan, but I just forgot his name
Jesus,
now.
I don't know. Like,
But
hey,
anyways, these guys are doing an amazing job. They are doing an amazing job to the extent that if somebody any of our diaspora persons who are in European countries or in the Asian countries, if they want to watch any film or if they want to talk about any film, I'm pretty sure that Yoruba films will be the first to come to their mind because these are the films that are being exported out of the country mostly. But anyways, that's the topic for another day. God will help us. So I think this is our last topic for Ayo. So have you ever at any time while you're making a film and in the process of making the film you discover the truth about that particular topic which now make you feel like, oh, this is what I have in mind before, but this is what is the truth. Then it changes your perspective and the direction of your film. Have you ever been in such scenario?
Yes, that is the beauty of documentary films. You always go in with an idea, and when you get there, you are shocked by what you discover, and everything you planned has gone to one side. But I feel like that is the only way to learn, by being open to learn our cultures, our traditions. Yeah, basically.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I think someone have a question. Yeah, the person said, what's the basic thing every young filmmaker should note if they are making reels or short films for socials? Socials like I think Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Um, so I think that should be a question for Miss Siva Iberi.
oh hi, Mr.
Mozua.
Omoswa. Okay, I will come
You
and live in Benin. I will pronounce everything.
are, you
All
are
right.
welcome. Please come.
All right, what is the basic thing that every young filmmaker should note if making reels or short films for socials? I mean, you're doing something right. Your audience is social media. Yes, try and make vertical films because for social media right now, what are the format of things that you like? Research, do your A/B testing. What are the format of things that you watch on social media? What are the format of things that move for social media? It's vertical films, especially for reels and for Instagram reels and TikTok, and then for YouTube shorts. Yes. So vertical films, try to tell authentic stories, use catchy hooks, keep your conversations short. I want to go and drink water from the pot. I'm thirsty. I'm getting water from the pot. Keep your conversation short because I'm telling you, you have 3 seconds to keep me on your page, and then you have the next 1 minute till I scroll and like, why? What am I doing here? Yeah. So keep it short. Keep your conversation short. Keep it smart. Vertical film is best for reels right now. I mean, it might change later, but then I think for now that's the format for that. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It has been an amazing, a superb time with you guys. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm seeing everyone's comments. And I think somebody have a question here called Seeking Studios. Because we are behind our scheduled time for the next panel session, this question we will not be able to answer it now. You have to just follow us on Instagram, message us, we add you to our community, and that question will be answered. I was really impressed and really excited during our last conversation in the community, seeing amazing mind talk about how the Africa heritage is not being preserved, how we are planning to revolution. English is not my father's. It's not my first language, please. But revolutionary, yes. So we are trying to like see how we can start intentionally changing the perspective of our film, start telling our stories and being authentic with them, ranging from short films to documentary to even social media content. And funny enough, social media content is one of the most easiest and accessible content you can everyone can always have access to. So content creators also need to be intentional with their content. It's so sad that we are all trying to chase numbers and money. Money is not bad, but then we should find it. We should just try to strike a balance and think about the next generation and the is it not the generation alpha that we call them, the younger ones that are coming up. What do we want these guys to learn? What do we really want to impart in these guys? How do we want them to grow? Because some of this content that they're exposed to are what we groom them. Aside their parents teaching them stuff, their school teaching them stuff, and the church teaching them stuff, the content they're exposed to we one way or the other affect their mind. And the Bible says the the way a man thinketh, so he is. So that is it for this session. I believe we are all happy. Before our guests leave us while the others comes up, if you are excited about this session, let me see your fire emoji. Let me see your dancing sticker, your laughing sticker, your love stickers. So thank you very much, Miss Siva Iberi. Thank you very much, Ayo Daily. Look forward to collaborating with you guys. Look forward to collaborating with every other person in the comment section. I'm a big fan of collaboration, and just follow us on our Instagram page. Join our community. There will be more activities there where filmmakers, especially those residing in Benin, can come together and make an amazing stuff. Thank you very much. Bye, Mrs. Siva, and bye, Ayo. God bless you and have an amazing night rest.
All right, thank you. I should follow you. I'm following your Instagram.
Thank you
So
for
bye.
having me. Bye.
So is I thought our host is back. It seems she's having a network issue. One of the stronghold in Nigeria is bad network, and another is um, no lights. Another is no access to creative infrastructure. God will help us. So I don't know what's the time. 8:02. We have one of our guests here already, Miss Iwinosa or Oyahiri. Let me add her. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think
Good
I
evening.
saw you. Good evening, ma. I think I saw you behind the scene. How was the last session for you?
Amazing. I learned a lot from it. I was just listening in on the conversations, which I think is also going to inform some of the things that we will also be discussing shortly.
Thank you very much. We are waiting for our other guests.
Yeah, that's fine. What's happening? No light.
I think my cam in my laptop is having issues, so I didn't resolve it before
Oh,
this stuff. And
all right.
it's even paining me that I can't see myself on the screen, and I can't.
Mm,
The guys on the other end can't see me.
I'm
But
seeing.
anyways,
Sorry about that.
yeah. So before our other guests join us, the person of um Miss Ontuleki. So
Yes.
before she joins us, maybe let's do a little interaction. So you're a storyteller, you travel around the world to gather
I do.
heritage. Yeah, I've seen your stories. Well, definitely I follow you on Instagram. So I see the amazing work you do. So
Thank
can you just give us a bit of an inspiration behind all of this work you do?
Okay. All right. My name is Iwinosa Oyahire. I first of all call myself a cultural practitioner. storyteller, researcher, creative entrepreneur. Um, I think one of the things that really annoys me is how Nigeria in general is represented globally, and the narratives that just go with being a Nigerian. It's an extreme sport being Nigerian. But I found a way to contribute to that conversation through the arts and culture. So I studied theater arts at the University of Benin, surprisingly. Most people don't know that. So I would think that that was my first, introduction to culture, creativity, art, and narratives, because that's like the first place where theater practitioners or thespians, as we call ourselves, as storytellers, were tasked with the responsibility of telling stories, putting up productions, reenacting real life. But as my career grew, as the years went by, I found that even my own culture, first of all, within Nigeria, is even a challenge. The narratives around us are already challenging, and I started to learn. I'm still growing and learning, but I started to realize that one of the ways to reframe those narratives is to start to contribute and add my voice to changing the perceptions around us as Nigerians and also around us as Edo people. So,
Um, Thank you very much. So, how's the journey been so far?
um, the intersection between arts, culture, and entertainment is a very dicey one. I've just
Yeah.
heard you in the last session talking about the entertainment industry, the filmmaking industry. It's a dicey one. It has been an enjoyable journey. It has been sweet. It has come with its own challenges. It has come with its own nuances. But I wouldn't be anywhere else. I would do this again in my next life, and again and again and
Wow,
again.
that's really beautiful of you to see. Choosing a career and saying to yourself that you want to do it again and again and again
Oh yes,
in your next
I will.
life, and um, that's beautiful. And thank you for joining us. Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you
And
for
so,
Hi, good evening.
good evening, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
So, to our online audience, if you can hear us, please let me see your drum rolls, your fire stickers. Let me see your love emojis and all your favorite stickers while I read their bio for us, or just maybe summarize it for us. So, our first guest speaker here, we have Miss Irinosa Oyakiri. Please, I don't want to like murder your surname. Can you help me out with it?
You're doing fine. Carry on.
Thank you very much. So, she's a storyteller, like we just heard from her. She's a storyteller and a cultural connector who explores how people connect to culture, heritage, and places. So, I've seen her works. She's doing her best to make sure that both the diaspora and the indigenous people here in Edo State have a connection to their roots, have a connection to their story. And I must say she's doing one of the greatest work, one of the greatest things to preserve history in our time and in our generation for the next generation. So if you're excited about that, you can give your drum rolls. So thank you very much. Then we have Miss Anto Lecky, known as Dr. Munirat Atuniet Lecky. So she's an educator, an entrepreneur, and public servant. She currently serves as a senior special assistant to the Edo State government on tourism and creative economy, and special advisor to the Bender Insurance FC company. Then she has also worked on several other films. Uh, she featured in Big Brother Nigeria as a semi-finalist. Then she is a TV host, an actor. I think I've seen one of her movies where she acted. Then also, she's a public speaker and an influencer known for her advocacy on youth culture, gender, and governance. It's a great honor and pleasure to have you both here. Thank you very much for joining us. So, we have our first question. So, Miss Ivanosa was here during our last session. She heard a bit of our discussion. I think this other question also ties Alice to what was discussed in the previous session. So, in an attempt to be authentic in our stories, we have always ended up with strengthening stereotypes about our people, especially from this part of Nigeria, the Esan people and the Benin people. Some of us will say, the Esan people, they are known for broad daylight witches and wizards. The Benin men, they are rude, they are very proud, the girls are stubborn, stuff like that. And I think I heard Irinosa during one of our panel sessions in Barfest where she talked about how stereotypes about Edo boys are the most known all over the countries and even across the country. And she's even on a mission to correct that. So, what will you say about this, Miss Irinosa? You answer us first, while Miss Anto will second.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to appreciate everyone who put this together. Well done. I'm excited to be here and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, and I hope that we can learn from each other. So, stereotypes. First off, I do not think stereotypes are a bad thing. I think stereotypes become a challenge when we always frame them negatively. So, for example, there are parts of people from different parts of Nigeria where we'll say, oh, these people are industrious people. That's a stereotype, and it's not a negative stereotype, right? There are parts of culture that will say, oh, these people are resilient or they're artistic, like the Edo people. The stereotype for us is that we are creative and we are artistic. It's not a lie, it is a stereotype. So the challenge with stereotypes is when we tell it negatively. Why do we always choose the negative stereotypes to tell? Why are the negative stereotypes the ones that we call authentic? I think that's a question we should ask ourselves. And because I'm a cultural practitioner, I will always, want to talk about decolonizing, decolonizing stories, decolonizing words, decolonizing how we tell the stories that we tell. Why is that the story? If you are an Edo person in Edo State, if you're an Asan person, you're an Owan person, or you are from any of the ethnic groups in Edo State, is that the only authentic story about your people? Why is that stereotype the negative one? Why is that the one you choose to tell? And I think the second thing that comes to mind is there are certain connotations that within the context of Africa and within the context of Nigeria, they are negative. For example, you just said, oh, some people are witches. If we were in the UK, for example, and we said a certain ethnic group in the West had witches, when you hear witch and you hear the West, what comes to mind? It's not always negative. We watch Harry Potter, we watch Teen Wolf, we watch Twilight. We don't see those quote unquote, we don't see those stories as negative. But when it is African, once you hear a certain word and it is tied to a Nigerian, an African, or an Edo person, the context of that meaning just changes. So I think my response to that question, to put it simply, will be stereotypes are not a bad thing. Why do we choose the negative stereotypes as authentic storytelling? Whose idea was it that negative stereotypes should be the at the forefront of what we call authentic storytelling? So we need to evaluate what is authentic about our people, and we need to choose, even though we're going to even though we choose to tell stories that have stereotypes in them, we should choose to frame them positively. We should choose to frame them in a way that we are shining a positive light on the people who have those stereotypes.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. So we should. It's the question you're asking. Why do we always choose the wrong and the negative stereotype? Still amaze me because I don't know why. Maybe it could be related to what a previous speaker said. They are trying to chase the numbers. They are trying to chase the money. They want a lot of followers on their social media page. But anyways, let's hear from you, Miss Antoleki.
Um, I would piggyback off what Jonas had said about why we pick negative stereotypes. I think I'll say, especially in Nigeria, it stems from the entertainment industry. All right, let's use another culture for example. You know, when you watch Nollywood films, we always saw that Igbo people were doing rituals, right? That's what we watched. Those are the type of films people were longing for. If you did a film that did not have a ritual scene, people were not watching your movie. So people kind of attach to what people like. Unfortunately or fortunately, human beings, we like to show capacity, or we like to show power. We like to show like we're above the next kind of person. So when we show this when we present ourselves as spiritual, we seem like we're on a different realm than some people. So that's kind of why I would think that more Edo people want to say that, or people talk about Edo as we're fetish or we're witches or what have you, because it gives us this mysticism. You know, it sounds, even though it sounds negative, some people think it sounds cool. Like, these people, don't mess with them, or they bam, all those kind of things. So I really think it's people just want to seem exceptional, unfortunately not realizing that it might look good for cinema, it might look good in Netflix films, but it affects the people who actually are of these cultures. For example, if you look at any Nollywood film right now that is doing something, maybe sex trafficking, drugs, or highly ritualistic, it has now skewed towards the Edo lens. That's what the world now sees us as these kinds of characters. You just saw To Kill a Monkey. Now Edo boy is full there doing whatever the heck they were doing in that movie. So that's like the selling point. We see it as negative stereotypes. Some people see it as a selling point, and that's kind of why it's very important for us, the owners of the narrative, to tell better stories. Your co-tribe or your fellow tribe is not going to tell a positive story about you because they don't know anything about you. You, as the owner of the culture, has the duty to tell better stereotypes. So it stemmed from the fact that a lot of people in those states want to seem stronger than the best. Since we're known as the cultural hub of Nigeria, right? We try to do things to show people that we're higher, we have more power than them. So I think that's kind of where these negative stereotypes stem from. But that's why it's very important that we have this conversation about storytelling and using creativity, because it is creativity and storytelling that can skew these negative stereotypes. If you think there's some stereotypes about other cultures, Yoruba people, they have their stereotypes. Igbo people have their stereotypes. Hausa people have their stereotypes. But when they make films about themselves, they don't actually use those stereotypes. They talk about many other things, but I've noticed in the Edo realm, we tend to still tell those kinds of stories. So it's important for this next generation of filmmakers to ensure that we don't toe that same line. We tell different stories. Yes, it's part of who we are. We might have juju, but no, juju is not witchcraft. And I think it's very important that we start explaining these things to people. Juju is not witchcraft, right? So we need to. Those are the stories we need to tell. People need to understand that yes, you might have cultural beliefs, spiritual beliefs, but it's not this witchcraft that people think about. So yes, I think that again, the reason people focus on negative stereotypes because it sells a story. It looks good. It looks cool. It gives people something to talk about. In the world, the news, when you put on the news, they're not telling you that the world is happy. They're just telling us bad, 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 bad things. That's what sells. So I think that's why negative stereotypes sell. But we, as the owners of these stereotypes, have the duty to tell people a different story.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I hope and I pray that the owners of this history actually step up and start telling their stories. I mean, we have amazing filmmakers from the Edo culture who are at the limelight already. Person of Osai Igularo. Then we have this other girl, this other lady. Uh, their names are escaping me now. But we all know very well that we have amazing indigenes of Edo State that are in the limelight already. But then they are not looking at this topic, they are not looking at issues like this to own the story and actually tell it right. I hope one day they start seeing it and they finally embrace the truth. So my second question is in Edo culture, accessing certain informations and cultural practice has always remained futile and it's difficult. And some cannot even be adopted into films for the fear of maybe the sacredness of this cultural practice and the stories around them. But these are worthy stories that can be adopted into films. How can we really address this issue? Because we can't continue to avoid this loop. So think I want to hear from Ms. Antoleki first.
I will go straight to it. I'm currently watching Anikulakbo by Kule Afolayan. And the film is set back in I can't remember which century, but it's Oyo Kingdom. It is not a true story. The story of Anikwalako itself is not a true story. However, it is based during a true time period. So that's what I think us as Edo creators, that's what we can do. If you look at a movie that just came out last year, Osamede, it was based around the invasion 1897. It's not a true story, but it has some context, historical context. So I don't think we have to necessarily, every film has to be completely by the book or by the history. We don't even honestly want people to know all about history. They already scattered history in the first place. So I don't think we need to tell them all the details, but you can use historical context and make something that is of an entertainment value. So if you're doing a documentary, yes, you might want to go more deeper, get some prime information that can put out a documentary. But if it's a film for entertainment purposes, you can use historical context and just find ways to make things a bit more adaptive. People now, we want to watch entertaining things, catchy things, things that spark our interest. So it may not be all of the history that you need to necessarily put in your film to make it viewer ready. So that's what I would say. Yes, it'd be awesome if we can get all of our history, but it's someone's history. They don't want to tell us all of it, obviously. So I don't think we need to dwell on the fact that, oh, we don't have all of the information. We have enough information. There's a lot about, you know, Benin Kingdom and other, kingdoms in Edo State that we can tell stories about. I think we should just go ahead and the information that we have, be able to package it for people's viewership.
Thank you very much. So before Venus answer the question, um, there was a particular time I was trying to write a, I was just trying to draft a story, drawing from what Antuleki said concerning Anikulakbo and how it's not a true story, but it's based on a true event that has happened. So I was trying to write a fictional story, not so it's not true, but it's based on a true event that has happened in Edo State. But as I was writing, came across some certain stages whereby there was this particular thing I had to write, but I had the fear of maybe the palace calling me to order that why will you debit Edo like this? Like, why will you portray Edo like this? Because the Benin people, we have this pride in our culture that you should not temper, you should not misuse or misinterpret the culture, else maybe the gods will be against you, stuff like that. And I know you very well, you are a Benin person. So if you can just tie the questions and what I just said together and give us an answer. Thank you.
Okay, it's an interesting question, and I will respond first as a cultural practitioner. Every institution has its trade secret, right? I believe if you, I'm trying to do something relatable first before I break it down. Every institution has its trade secret. Coca-Cola has been trading for years. They have their trade secret, they have their recipe. I'm sure there are people who feel the need to want to know so much more about what's in the recipe we want to know. Um, but that's just not going to happen because it is the trade secret of the institution. And the same applies to culture. I'll just, what Anto said, you have creative liberty to tell a story how you want creatively. But the moment you move into the realm of wanting to depict a true story from a community, and that community has reserved the right to tell you that in our institution, it is our culture and it is our tradition that this does not, we don't tell this story out there. I don't think we should dishonor the dignity of that community by
Absolutely.
insisting that we want to tell that story. I'll give examples just at the top of my head. When the a pope is being selected, the only thing that the public sees is the smoke signal outside. For centuries, you don't know what goes on in there. It has been guarded because that institution believes that for the sacredness of what they do, for the authenticity of what they do, they choose not to share that. And we must, as storytellers who will engage with community, if we want to tell true stories, we should allow these communities to tell us, I just do not this we're not sharing this story out there. It's not for
So,
entertainment purposes. In those areas, you have creative liberty to make and unmake, and also make it clear that um I took creative license to tell this version of this story because it is a
so,
secret. Even when the in the United Kingdom, the king is being coronated, there are aspects of that royal coronation that you do not see on screen. So why is it that when it is us saying, "Oh, I want to keep this," we start to say, "What are they hiding? Are they doing
mm-hmm.
something suspicious in there?" Any institution, any serious institution, has its trade secret and reserves the license to say, we are just not telling you this part of this story. We're happy for you to tell everything else, but we are not sharing this. Like Anto
Yeah.
said, there's mysticism around. If people hold the right to say we want to be seen a certain way, we don't want to share this aspect of our culture, we don't want to share this aspect of our story. When engaging with community, we should respect that. I'll call it ethical storytelling,
So,
right? Because one of the challenges I think we've had to deal with when our stories are being told, um, they're not being told by us, is we have people come in and a community says, oh, we don't allow, in fact, the one of the major reasons that the invasion in 1897 happened was because the Edo people said they did not want strangers in the city. We said we don't want strangers in the city at this time when we're doing, this festival. And some people decided we must. Why? What are they doing there? Why do you feel the need to? If we should respect the
absolutely.
sacredness of people's culture, and allow that to be. There are even societies and institutions where they'll have to initiate you in first before they tell you anything. And once you are initiated, you cannot go and say it outside.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think in telling ethical stories, we must apply the practices of ethical storytelling, and that includes respecting the community's dignity to not share a story if they do not want to. Honor them, respect them, and hold them to that standard. Somebody's lived experience is not for entertainment. So in that
Yeah.
space, like I said, you have creative liberty to, and of course you should also be able to say these parts of this story, I've taken creative license to say this part of the story, or you can even tell stories surrounding it, like she also said, what other
Yes.
events happen within and around that time. That's my take on that. I hope it sits well with filmmakers in the house, because I know we really sometimes want to say, I want to dig and tell that story. Yeah.
Exactly. That was what I was just going to say.
What's
Uh,
up?
I know that
Fine, I'm
feeling.
in the call.
so the first beautiful
He's
was
supposed to be upstairs. I can't confirm
you
that
guys
he's still
need
here
to
though.
answer,
We can check.
and really agree to what with you guys what you've all said. But still, I am of the opinion that how do we then preserve this culture? I mean, Miss Fumlaya, you are a cultural preserver. You're trying your best to preserve culture so that generations to come can still have access to this information. So if then some of these informations are seen as sacred, they are not accessible to strangers, and they cannot be digitally preserved, then maybe adopted into our films, then how do we actually preserve our culture? Because this topic has been one of the most talked about topic several years ago, and we are still talking about it now. How do we then actually preserve our culture if we cannot really have access to this information? So maybe Miss Innocent can answer first. Please, if you can just be precise about it on summary.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, well, I assure you the culture is being preserved. There are custodians of culture who are preserving the culture and have preserved it for centuries. Even
Wow.
I would use Benin culture, even with the invasion, even with the displacement, I can assure you culture is being preserved. Not everything that we see on social media, on film, does not mean it's not. There are different mediums to preserve um, a culture. Culture is being preserved. It's really a matter of those who are really interested in knowing so much more about that culture would take the extra mile to go to and engage with the format in which
Yeah.
that culture is being preserved.
So,
So it does not always have to be preserved in film. And even when it is preserved in film, sometimes it's not film for public consumption. It
mhm.
can be preserved and then it is kept with the custodians
Archived.
of culture. The custodians of culture, I assure you, they are preserving it for the next generation. But I think more of what you may be trying to ask me is how do we get younger people interested, since the format in which young people engage with culture these days is on screen, social media, and all of that. I'll say what I said before. The parts of the culture that you are allowed to share, how about we share that first, until we get to a time where the custodians of culture and the community allows us to share the parts of their culture that they consider sacred. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. So, ma'am, Anto, do you want to give a little
Yes, I
input?
actually want to say that I think as Edo people, we actually do a great job in preserving our culture. The entire world knows about the Benin Kingdom. That means we're doing something right. People want to know. That means we're doing something right. So, yes, we might want to put these things into more films and all these sorts of things, but I truly believe that our culture is being preserved. Like Iwanosa said, if you truly need some specific details, you go to certain custodians of culture who can get some of these information out. Digital restoration is a very new concept. People have been preserving culture since the beginning of time with telling each, telling family members, and the next family member tells you, the next family member tells you, or by writing, or by having old photographs. So we shouldn't think that film is the only way to preserve culture. People are able to push information out when need be. So I think we're doing a good job. Goodbye, gentlemen.
I agree with what you're saying. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much. So the third question, I think Mr. Courage is supposed to be in the previous session, but we'll just have him join us for this session. I hope he's here with us and he can hear us. So this third question, I would just want us to maybe give a little hint or just like be precise with our answers because of time. So it's no news that Lagos has maintained housing the highest numbers of creatives and filmmakers in Edo State. Sorry, it's no news that Lagos has maintained housing the highest numbers of creatives and filmmakers, with Edo State following them. And many creatives are still living. What could be the major cause, and what do you think is the solution? So we just want Mr. Courage to answer first, while Ma'am Anto uh, uh, switch.
All right, guys. Good evening. I hope you can hear me.
Given.
Apologies for coming in late. I had to quickly finish off from another meeting. Thank you for having me. I think the question is a very tricky one and also kind of an obvious answer as well because people will tend to go to where the opportunity is. And Lagos is like the entertainment hub in Nigeria, so it's obvious that most creatives will tend to relocate to where it has been termed entertainment hub in Nigeria. So to me, I think that's majorly the reason because any investor trying to invest in film and entertainment will first look at Lagos because Lagos churns out most of the entertainment piece that the world gets to see on YouTube, on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, on Rock TV, on even African Magic. I think for me, the only known content I know that comes out of Benin City was this epic film that was being done by I think Victor Agawa. It's I think is it Enogi or something. It's a epic
Blood
film that was the studio was Blood of Enogi. I think that was it, and that was because I think Obaseki was the last person to um, open up the Victor Wifos hub. They have a studio there. And I went to visit the set of Blood of Enoge. So that's like one example of things that can get creatives to look at those things because right now, if you think of studios in Nigeria, your first thought is Lagos, not even Abuja. So most times, all creative will want to tend to go towards Lagos. Lagos has studios. Like I just finished shooting the series finale for Street Food Nigeria season 6 and we shot that in Lagos as well because Lagos has big studios. Lagos has the capacity to house or to hold such content. So I think that's the reason why most creative, move to Lagos because the opportunities are there. And if we want such thing to happen in Benin City, I think the government has to step up, individual as well. Private sectors have to step up to create opportunities that will attract the eyes of people because right now people are looking to film outside Lagos because filming in Lagos is very expensive and people are now turning towards Ibadan because Ibadan is very close to Lagos and they are cheaper. So I think it's an opportunity for Edo State to see that okay, people are trying to like find alternative because the economy is not funny anymore. People are hungry to make content, but the money is not there. So I think it's the right time for Edo State to position himself as a new set of a new hub for filmmaking, for entertainment, because the one they can offer cheap, what's it called? They can offer cheap service, or they can offer security. Because another thing that people have to understand is Lagos is also very safe right now in Nigeria. Lagos is like the safest state, with zero case of insurgency as at now. So those are the things that make creatives want to go to Lagos, and I believe that's why Lagos will continue to steal per se the talent from those states, Lagos, because they basically have the resources to do that. So that's what I think about that.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. So, ma'am, Anto, you want to add something to it?
Sure, I definitely want to add something to it. I heard the government needs to step up. I love to address this point. Government is of the people, for the people, by the people. I think it's very important for us, especially as creatives or an entertainment industry, to remember that the creative sector is a private sector driven industry. Government can have a part to play, but it is a private industry. Even as a government official, I would say you don't even want government to be too involved in your creative process. All right. So let's look at the places that we call film hubs in Nigeria. You have Lagos, you have Asaba, you have Enugu. Their governments were not behind them initially. It was individuals who wanted to put out their projects, push their projects, who did it. Then when things started getting popping, some of the governments, some, not even all, because to this day, some governments are not involved. Some governments decided to start finding ways to support or look like they're supporting their filmmakers. So I don't want us to always only say government. Government does have a role to play, but for any creative, please note it is you and your fellow creatives that can truly drive the sector. That is first and foremost. When we talk about the whole everyone moves to Lagos, not only creatives. Businessmen are going there, bankers are going there. Lagos is just a Nigerian anomaly. So let's just accept that for what it is, right? But again, when it comes to creativity, I still don't think, I've never thought, part of why I left Lagos, I left Abuja, and I'm now in Benin City. I never felt like Lagos is the only place to sell your market, especially as creatives, because you don't need to be in Lagos to shoot a film. There's nothing that they have in Lagos that's so much different than any other states in Nigeria. Yes, if you're talking about film sets, built-in sets, maybe the whole, I was on Tinsel that year, sets, but most filmmakers are shooting in houses anyway. Houses in Benin City look just like houses in Ikate, so there's not much of a difference. I don't want people to feel like Lagos, Lagos, Lagos. Lagos is great, but it's not exceptional. Shoot a film, you can shoot as an someone that's already based in Edo State. I'm not talking about trying to get people to leave Lagos and film in Edo. I'm talking about people that are in Edo who feel like they need to go to Lagos. If you're a filmmaker, you can make your films in Edo State. You can tell any kind. You don't even have to tell Edo-based stories. Most of our stories that we see are just, they don't even have specific location or location specific stories. Most of our stories are just how people are living their lives. So you don't have to feel like Lagos is the go-to. Yes, there's opportunity there, but I believe again, as filmmakers, you can make your film anywhere. We have people doing films in the north and they're not thinking about coming to Lagos. But as us in the south, we always feel like we must enter Eko. Please, Eko is nice, but we have Benicity, we have Ekpoma, we have Auchi, we have Akokedo. Make your film in our states, please. I'm going to encourage that. Yes, we know when it comes to trying to convince people to leave other states and shoot and film in those states, yes, the government has a part to play. Of course, when it comes to providing security permits for certain locations, absolutely. But for those of us that are just making stories that we can use within please, I don't think you necessarily need to rush to Lagos, especially now that so many people are using social media, using online platforms to promote their films. Do your film, put it on YouTube, push. I don't think Lagos is the hub as much, especially at least for filmmakers. I don't think Lagos is the do or die. I think we can create, all of us have a part to play in creating that film ecosystem in those states.
Okay, thank you very much. For our audience, if you have anything you want to add, you have any question you want to ask, you have any contribution, please drop them in the comment section so that we can always highlight them, and so you can also be part of the conversation. And to support what Ma'am Antoleki said, I heard that one certain time said that Edo State is a film state. So please, for those of us who are trying that very much, not that we don't like Lagos, we like Lagos, but we really want to stay in a place where it's also quiet, where it's calm, where we can really make our films without harassment from the people around. Lagos is an amazing place. You can network, you can connect with people, great investors. Yes, you can do all of that. But then Benin is also an amazing place. Samede was made in Ososo. Then, like Mr. Corey also said, Blood of Onoge was made in Benin, just in airport, in a studio. So then it's also a thing for private investors to be part of. I wish this or something that will help other investors being part of the conversation so that they can also see our vision and support young and emerging filmmakers in the state. Ms. Vinosa, do you have anything you want to add?
I'll just contribute to what both Anto and Courage have said. I'll just, zoom into ecosystem building and collaboration. We're filmmakers in Benin here, and the gaps that exist right now in the ecosystem that can make it easier for you to produce your films. In the last 5, 10 years, the amount of filmmakers, creatives, production houses did not exist in Benin, but they are here now. So that means something positive is happening. But even within yourselves, you need to be able to push forward a collective narrative that says, we are in Benin, we can produce, we can work with you, we have the capacity, we have the enabling environment. And also within yourselves, you start to find what those gaps are and come together to fill the gaps. If the gap is, what, we're having challenges with certain kinds of equipment, you start having these conversations. If the gap is, we don't have enough trained actors here, what can we start doing? So that ecosystem is something we need to do as a collective. So I'm glad when conversations like this happen, where we are all here to say gap, gap, gap. I know the obvious the obvious thing that always comes up is funding. But if you don't even know the gaps that exist, if you don't even know what we are supposed to be doing as a collective, remember, Anto just said it's a private industry. It's people in Lagos that were tooting the horn of Lagos. And remember that Lagos was once the capital of Nigeria, and the center of trade and commerce historically. So, like she said, it's not like Lagos has something that other states in Nigeria don't have. It was an economic choice in colonial times for Lagos to be the center of commerce, trade for almost all industries. So for that to start to trickle down, it's going to take a little bit of work here and there from us. And we need to be willing to do that work as a collective, collaboratively. I think that would be my few cents on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we just have about three questions left for all of us, for the three of us. Luckily, unfortunately, the three of you are from Edo State. So this question is to the three of us. So I think it also ties to our first question a bit, but we want to hear from Mr. Courage first. So what is that very true identity of all Edos, whether you're from Igara, whether you're from Eastland, whether you're from Ososo, whether you're from Ibanke or any part of Edo State, what is that true identity you really admire and you really want to see on screen? You,
Sorry, can you like
um,
repeat the question?
so I said, what is that true, what is that very Edo identity you really admire that you really want to see on the screen? Whether the person, whether the culture or identities from Igara, from Benin, from Ososo, from Fuga, from Aochi, or any part of Edo State. What is that identity you really admire and you really want to see on the big screen?
So to me, yeah, I'm from Edo State, but I did not grow up in Edo. I was born in Abuja, raised in Abuja. I only came to Edo State for my higher institution, which is to study in University of Benin, after which I left. So I didn't really have so much time to connect with the culture, to connect with the people. So the question for me, it's I'm going to answer from what I admired from afar, and to me, is has always been the beauty of reality, right? Which I think has so many potentials that people are not speaking about. So many potentials that I think, from my own perspective, when most creative try to attempt it, the first thing that scare them might be the budget. How do you create this world? How do you create the set design, the costumes, and all of that? But it's something that I really wish that investors would take a look at, because the world has only, we probably have read about it, like the Benin culture, the Ogisos, before we go into the whole um, reign of the Obas, right? So these are rich stories that if we as Nigerians, if we as people from Edo State don't act fast, somebody else will come in and take that story and make it theirs. I mean, we all saw Women King, right? Where Sonny came in and hijacked the culture of the um, Benin, right? The what was her name? The Benin Warriors from, I can't even remember. But you see how they came in, putting their own narrative. We saw the flag, we saw the backlash, how people complained about the accent, how it was forced, how it was faked. So if we as Edos don't try to tell our own story, somebody else will come and tell those stories for us, right? So to me, like the kind of stories I want to see, stories that are centered around our culture, around our royalty in particular. Because most times people just hear those things and they're all just towards about, they're all mostly about old invasion, the slave trade invasion. But we've not really seen how our kings interacted with one another, how they interacted with the people of old. So to me, I think that's something that's interesting. If we can, even if it's not the real stories, if you're not going to like pick a particular urban and tell his own story, you can still, there's amazing stories you can still tell, fictional stories, but they are based and they are baked into the culture of Edo State, how we dressed in those days, how we hunt. I don't know how we used to hunt back then. I don't know the kind of songs we sing during the Oba's burial back then. Even down to the kind of food we eat. So these are the things that many of us can tell you, oh, we understand Viking culture because we grew up watching Vikings. We saw Valhalla, right? We saw so many other histories because they had the time to bring it to us. So I feel like if we can collectively come together and write stories that can show more about what the Edo people used to be like in the days of old, I think it's something that will make good content and will also educate the world. So yeah, that's my own stories that I would like to see from Edo State.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to hear from Antoleki.
I would say that I guess my greatest heritage point of Edo State is that how do I decide describe it? The cultural strength. I grew up, I lived my whole life in America, grew up there, everything, that's what it is. So yes, living there, I experienced, I'll say mostly maybe Yoruba people and some Igbo people, and then Edo were next. And everybody wanted an Edo friend. Everybody just know our Edo people, they're strong, they're good people. Like we just have this thing of being strong. Everyone knows it. Like we are whatever, however you're defining strength. Now Edo we get some, right? And I love that. And I think that's something that we need to push hardcore, like extremely a lot. Like I said, there's no after the, let's say, British kingdom, the next kingdom is Benin Kingdom. I'm telling you, I don't know any other kingdom in this world. Like to be in history, I really don't know. You hear all these kind of things, but really when people think of kingdoms, Benin Kingdom comes next. And I think we need to own that. That's something I think just the fact that we have such a rich history that people actually know about, they're interested in, they know, oh, Edo people, they're good, or Edo people, that guy is bad. Even though bad is a bad word, is a good word in this context, right? People know us for being very strong, but very dynamic, being very strong-willed. The data shows that there's an Edo man in every country on this planet. So obviously, we don't send anybody. We're willing to go out there and look whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. We can achieve it, and we do achieve it. So I think that's part of what we as creatives we should hold on to, and those are the types of stories that we need to tell. The strength of the Edo person. Um, Today I realized that even though we're adults, some people are bringing up unnecessary tribalism between the Benins, the Esan, the Esako. I don't know why we're doing that rubbish. Doesn't make any sense to me, but we need to remember that we're still one, whether or not you want to believe it. We all descended from a kingdom, and we need to own that culture. Even in Nigeria, most people don't know much about after the typical, if it's the Yoruba, the Igbo, maybe the House. I think Edo is next. I don't think people know much about what's happening in Akwa Ibom, to be honest. And I think it's a good thing that we have this. Even our Bendel brother, Delta State, I don't think people even know what's really happening there. So I think just the fact that so many people know about Edo State and are interested in our culture is something that I'm so proud of, and I think we need to just truly, truly Edo to the world.
Okay, thank you very much. So, before Miss Yunusa, Ma'am Yunusa want to answer So just a question to tie to this previous one so that you just summarize everyone to all of them together because of time. So do you really think that the writers and filmmakers in Nigeria, from Edo State, from other parts of Nigeria, they are really doing enough work to do their like they are really doing enough research work before developing a story and finally putting it on the screen? So you can just make it a two-in-one question. Thank you very much, man.
Okay. What personally, I think I value the everyday lived experiences of the diverse everyday people of the city. I just don't see enough of that representation. Every time an Edo person pops up in a Nigerian movie, her name is Osas and she's a prostitute or she's fighting somebody. I don't know why that's the only narrative we choose to tell. So I think as filmmakers, we can start telling stories of everyday lived experiences of people in Edo State, Benin people in Benin, who is a tech bro, who is a fashion designer, who is a business tycoon. We should start telling those stories. And we even have people, I think their stories are deserve documentation now, and it can be documented in film, like the Esama of Benin, for example. Just how he has built an empire is something that we should start looking at in film. And there's so many other, people in politics, in business, in arts, in culture whose stories are not documented or represented. So for me, I think those are the stories we need to tell. And I also think the Edo people are warm and welcoming people, even though people don't agree with me most times. I think when you meet an Edo person at their core, they're actually very open, and you can see it in how easy it is for people to just come to the state, do business, have an empire in the market, and you're wondering, oh, so this person is not even from here and they've been able to thrive here. I think we're hospitable people, and I like to see more of that. Whether or not we do research is expensive sometimes and takes time. But there's also research work that's very low hanging fruit that I think sometimes we don't do as filmmakers. Something as simple as how to pronounce a word. Someone is speaking Benin in a movie and is very forced, they are mispronouncing the name, it's a struggle, you are misrepresenting the culture for something that you could have easily Googled or made one or two calls. So sometimes I feel like we're in a hurry to put out that story and we just don't do enough research. And like I said, research can be quite expensive, but there are tools now, especially Digital Benin, for example, that's the project that I'm currently on. Digital Benin is a free tool. You don't need to pay for it. It has so much history. It even tells you how to pronounce certain Benin words. It's such a rich tool. You have oral history there, you have written history there, you have certain words that you can pronounce there. It's free, right? And you can go there to say, okay, I want to shoot a movie. How do I even has a map of the pre-colonial Benin kingdom? It's a rich tool that you can use to tell a story, where you're not able to go into a community and start asking questions. Like I said, research can be expensive. You can go like 10 times before they even you even gain trust and they're able to even tell you certain things. So I can understand on that end. But if you do enough research here and there, sometimes you'll find that there are free tools that you can use. And also, academic libraries, people do research every year, documenting in the arts, for example, in the arts and social sciences. Sometimes walk into your university library in your state, you'll be shocked that that thing you think is a secret, somebody has documented it and is just gathering dust in a local school library there, waiting for somebody to pick it up and draw from it to tell a story. So I think that's a way to go about it for
Thank you very much, ma'am, Minosa, for that. I think we have just two more questions. I really apologize for keeping us to this moment. I believe our audience are really enjoying themselves with all of these information, and we are going to do better from that henceforth. So for Anto, so we the Edo filmmakers, we not that we don't have plans to maybe go to Lagos, we have plans to go to Lagos, but we still really want to at least do enough stuff here in Benin, especially as we are still growing and we are just emerging. So is there any really plan for young creatives from the Edo State government, maybe like grants, scholarship, or maybe loan? It will not be advisable for emerging or young creatives to get loans. But then, is there any stuff, any support for any plan for support for young creatives?
Sure. So when we're talking about funding specifically, yes, we're in some conversations to try and see how to set up a creative fund. Part of the difficulty with the creative sector is government sometimes has a difficulty in trying to see, I don't want to say value per se, but numbers. Government is about numbers. It is, I just want everyone to understand, the government is about numbers. They want to see how a certain amount of money is affecting a certain number of people, right? So sometimes in the creative space it's hard to tell this number, but we are trying to work towards setting up a creative fund where people can get some grants. We're also open to working with creatives who want to travel abroad to do some kind of creative projects. For example, my office last year, we collaborated with the Goethe Institute to teach creatives how to write grants, especially people that want to use grants to travel to other countries to do creative projects. So part of our goal as government is to connect creatives with opportunities. So it might not be as much funding. Yeah, because honestly, if you ask an adult man right now, what does he need in life? He'll say electricity or roads. So yes, I'll be honest and say that my principal, his focus right now is trying to get as many roads done in the states. But that doesn't mean that the creative sector is not being paid attention to. But what we're more so trying to do is provide enough opportunities. So just like Courage mentioned, the Wi-Fi hub, the Wi-Fi hub is still there. There's still cameras there. There's still Adobe Studio. There's still a sound stage. So if you want to shoot films in the hub, you can still go there and have a conversation with the director, and he can let you know how you can have your film shots at the hub. So it's not that the hub is not available to filmmakers. It's still very much, that was the primary goal, being available for creative. So if you have anything that you need to do there, please do go there. But for funding, we are trying to work on a creative fund. It's not ready yet, but that is something that we do have in the works.
Rose, thank you very much for that
Sure.
answer. So we have hope, and we are really excited about that. Um, I think this should be our last questions. Sorry, this should be our last question for not our last question, just second to last. I'm sorry. So to Mr. Courage or to Mr. Yes, to Mr. Courage, you are a film director and you may have experience with this. So for filmmakers who may not be connected to a particular tribe and they have this intention to really make great impact in that particular region. Let's say, for example, like I said, I'm from the eastern part of Nigeria, but because I schooled there in Benin, I was born there in Benin, though my mom is from Eastern, and I really feels connected to the Edo State roots and really want to make as just really want to maximize as much as I can from the history of Edo State and putting it on screen as I grow. So help me God. So, what do you think he can do for a person like me, or maybe an honorable person is really interested in the Edo culture? I really want to make stuff pertaining to the Edo culture.
So I think it's a very simple question, and I believe you actually have the answer to it. It's research, right? Research is your number one arsenal when it comes to telling stories, right? Because you can tell any story actually. You can. No, I can tell a story about the Great Wall of China. Nobody's stopping me from doing that, right? So it's about your research. So if you have this certain passion to tell a story from a culture you're not from, the one thing you need to equip yourself with is research. Know so much about that culture, travel there, or if you're already based there, speak with people who are known custodians of these cultures, right? So it's not, there's no how like there's no restraint to what you can tell or what you can't tell, as long as you tell it correctly, which is very important. Like I gave an example of Human King, right? It made them money, but there's some backlash from Africa, right? People are saying, "Oh, this was not how these guys were speaking during the time. Some things were not accurate." So, if you want to tell a culture that's not your culture, you have to make sure that you come correct. You have to do more work than someone that's even from that culture. So, actually, you are as filmmakers, we have the liberty to tell stories as long as you connect. When you're trying to pitch to investors to make a film, there's a part in your pitch deck that is usually about the director. Why do you think this story has to be told? And why do you think this story has to be told by you? So first, you have to make sure that you are fully invested. You are there's a full connection between you and why you think you are the best person to tell that story. Because trust me, you might get to a part where there'll be a pushback and they'll say, "Oh, you're not from this part of the world. Why should we give you such access?" And I like what Reno said, right? Edo is a very welcoming place. In my hostel back then in Uniben, you can't even tell who's from Edo State because everybody was speaking English. Everybody welcomed you, right? We're like this. There's no Edo State, especially in Benin, there's no segregation of who I'm from Benin and outside of this game. It's not there, right? So if you really want to tell a story in Benin, for example, I don't think there's any elderly person that you approach and they'll tell you, "Oh, go away from here, you're not from our tribe, please leave, shoo, shoo." No, I don't think that will happen. So basically, like I said, your number one ask now should be your research. As long as you've done your due diligence, right, you are ready. And most times, there's some things that you cannot comprehend because even if I want to tell a story from China, right, I can't speak Chinese. So obviously, I'll need a Chinese person to be beside me. So if you're going to tell a story from Benin and you're probably from Ekboma or something, it's good to have a sidekick, which is a Benin person. That person can help you correct so many things that you might miss while filming, like accents, for example, names, pronunciation. So as creative, you're excited, you want to see the whole story flesh out. But if you miss the little nitty gritties, your audience may not really know, but people whose culture you're trying to tell, if they get to see that content, there would definitely be a pushback because they will feel like you've done a disservice to their culture. So if you're interested in that, obviously you can tell those stories. Just try you have done enough research before you start filming. So that's my advice to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of the session. I was supposed to ask another question, but I will just say this or put the question like this. Your last words in just 1 minute, please. We've clocked 2 hours. I didn't plan on staying more than 2 hours. So your last words for emerging filmmakers. I'm an emerging filmmaker and I really want to do as much as I can. So what are your last words for emerging filmmakers that are based in Benin? I really want to do amazing works. Um, Miss Yunosa, you go first, then followed by Miss Mam Antuleki, and then Mr. Courage.
Okay, my last words will be, something that I said before. You're a filmmaker, you're a creative. I know that as creatives, one of the things that we struggle with, because I had that challenge, is doing everything else, that ties to creativity can be a bit of a challenge. You're like, I just want to create. I just want to tell that story. Why do I have to be saddled with these responsibilities or that things that tie to, making the film? We have to push boundaries and put in the work to be interested in those other things that tie to making the film and telling the story. Do the research work. See yourself as um, someone who is providing a solution within an industry, right? When you do that, that allows you to see the gaps that exist in that industry. And just for where we are right now, in other parts of the world, it's you can find someone say, "Oh, I'm a gaffer, I'm the editor." But for us here, you are the editor, you're the screenwriter, you're the sound engineer. You do like five different things at the same time. Just when you're starting out, before you have enough funding, don't stop, don't stop. And when you see a gap that may not necessarily tie to your creativity, like I said, if you find, there's a gap for people who provide food when we film, or there's a logistic gap in the city, continue having those conversations. And where you are able to provide that additional solution that creates an enabling environment for you to make the films that you really want to make, don't hesitate. Within your network, peer-to-peer collaboration, I can't enough. We keep looking this rich person. We can do so much when we come together pair to pair and say, what can you bring to the table? You, what can you bring to the table? What By the time everyone within that ecosystem says, you know what, I know that I'm a writer, but I can also contribute to this gap, you will be amazed what we'll be able to do in the next 5 years in this city, because we decided to system of support that creates an enabling environment for us to tell all these amazing stories. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I learned and I was excited to share as well.
Thank you very much. We are so excited and happy to have you. So let's hear from Antu.
Sure. As creatives, we just want to take over the world. We don't know, just show everybody all about skill. But I think first important thing is skill over finances. Since I've moved to Benin City, I've experienced something kind of interesting. People just want to make money all the time, right? But they might not be the most skilled at what they think they need to make money at. So please, as a creative, continue to upskill, continue to go for training, continue to read, research, watch YouTube, watch videos, really truly learn your craft. Filmmaker sounds like such a cool title, but it's demanding. So please learn the craft of being a filmmaker if that's what you want to call yourself. Please be an expert in your field. When we hear names like Lancelot Imasuen, Kule Afalayan, Kemi Adetiba, they are skilled in their craft. No one in the world can say they're not good at it, right? So please first truly, of course, practice makes perfect, but truly own your craft and learn it very well. I think that's first step as a creative. Secondly, like Yuna said, there is nothing more better than collaboration and partnership. We cannot do this alone. Creatives, you need to work with fellow creatives. There are people out there that are looking for that chance, looking for that opportunity. Please seek, reach out, go forth and look for these people that want to do these things. You can't make it, well, some people do solo film, Sha, but I don't think people want to watch that. So please go and look for up and coming actors, writers, gaffers. There are people in your community who are looking for this opportunity. We cannot go past without collaboration and partnership. And lastly, from the government angle, the government wants you to succeed. Please do reach out to us. I'll go straight to it since we're all friends here. Funding will be the hardest thing to get out of government. Don't write a proposal asking for money. It is going to go hard, but look at other ways government can help you. Government could potentially direct you to people who have the knowledge that you need, like researchers who have the information. Government could potentially help you by connecting you with those kind of people. Government, of course, like I said, we have the Wi-Fi hub, we have cameras, we have lights there, we have editing studios there. So those are some of the things you can get government to help you with. Permits to go to certain locations. If the project requires maybe some extra security, these are things that governments can help you with. So when people want to reach out to government, try and think like a government official, right? And I think that'll be the best way that you can make the best use of government in your project. But again, I'm so honored that you all chose for me to be here representing myself as a filmmaker as well, and also as a government official. I truly do believe that in Edo State that we're unstoppable. If you look at the Nigerian entertainment ecosystem, it is dominated by people from Edo States. I don't want to even start. The names are plenty, from music to film to arts to fashion. We did there. So obviously we have the talent. We just need to believe that we can harness our talents and keep it in the States and still be successful. So I believe all of you on this call are, the next year, so I'm sure we'll be watching your movies. We'll be asking you guys for for your autographs and all those things. You guys will be even unreachable in like the next 3 years. So congratulations to all of you for sticking around and listening to this conversation. And I'm sure we'll be seeing some great film projects coming out from all of you.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, man. And I hope the emerging filmmakers here are not like those who will become unreachable when they eventually become popular and gain the fame. Please, let's keep the humility while we are still going and eventually when we grow. Thank you very much, ma'am. So let's hear from Mr. Courage.
All right. So what I would like to say is learn to be or learn to understand that everybody has a different timeline in life, right? And speaking from my own experience as well, there are times where as creative you feel like you are being left behind. Trust me, you're not, right? Ridley Scott, popular director of Gladiator, made his first film at the age of 40. I made my first feature film at the age of 28. There's somebody that will make their first film at 15. So because you are 30 and you've not made your first film or your first short film doesn't mean you've been left behind, right? Like Anton said, learn to keep learning. Learning is what's going to set you apart. Would you rather hurry into a space and do something mediocre, or come in late and land correct? Because you see actors, you see people like Kunle and Fulayo, yeah, you already get knocked of them when they're already popular, but you didn't know where they started from. Kunle's dad was making Yoruba film. Kunle was with him growing up all this while, so he was already training his mind on how to be a good filmmaker. So as young creative, we always think we have something to prove. Yes, we want the world to hear what or to see the world from our own perspective, but learn to be patient, learn to understand that there's time and process in everything. You can't just come from the bottom and just go to the top immediately. It can happen for some, right? Because like I said, everybody's timeline in the world is different. So learn to be humble, learn to attach yourself to filmmakers. If you see a filmmaker that you like, try to be humble, try to approach them, try to want to be in their space. Though there's going to be a pushback, I assure you, because every filmmaker we like to protect our own circle. You can't just come to my DM, I want to follow me to set the next day. I won't let that. I don't know you from Adam, right? But that doesn't mean if I say no to you, you should now diminish your dream and then you say, I no longer want to be a filmmaker because all the filmmakers in the world are terrible people. No, there's time and there's chance. Keep building, keep learning. People always wonder, how do I direct? How do I shoot? How do I edit? How do I color grade? Since 2014, I've been learning these things from YouTube. I didn't go to any film school. I didn't go to any film college, right? I was learning on my laptop, on my phone, on YouTube, straight from the source. So there's no excuse anymore in our generation because you can easily access anything. And now that AI is even there, that even gives you an upper hand. You can write script to ChatGPT. You can, create images from your own head. So as filmmakers, learn to understand time and process. Don't be in a haste to want to tell your story. Settle down, do your research, and come correct. And I wish you guys the very best. I know that at the end of the day, we'll all get a chance to tell our stories. It can be visually, it can be through audio. But I look forward to seeing what everybody's going to create. And once again, I apologize for coming in late. Thank you so much for having me on this platform. And I wish we have platforms like this to educate young filmmakers on the necessity of having a community in which we can all stand on. So thank you very much and do have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you very much to our great speakers who decided to spare just an hour of their time to educate us, to lecture us, and also encourage us while in the journey. God bless you richly. And to our audience, thank you for staying to the end of this our virtual conference. This is our first virtual conference. This is our first major conference. And we'll be having a physical event coming August this year. And I hope to see all of you too. And maybe some of our speakers here will be joining us. This point, I want to say thank you once again and good night. I really enjoyed this scene. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having us. Have a good night.
Good night, ma'am. Yo, good night. You can go and start working on your next fiction story, non-fiction. God bless you.